What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 10 of Rebel Roundtable, the first official podcast of Rebel Sports Network here at UNLV. I'm your host, Palacios, here with my co-host, Thomas, Gobbo Gobbo.
Yeah, what's up? Happy late Thanksgiving. We are now into December, which is ultimately Christmas month. I'm sure everybody's favorite month. And yeah, we got another good episode for you today, like we always do.
Yep, but this week is actually going to be running a little bit differently. Of course, we're still going to start off with our NFL recap, but that'll be primarily Thomas's section. Then we'll get into UNLV Athletics, which was majority men and women's basketball. And actually, we're not going to end with UNLV football today. We're going to do this before basketball because we have a little surprise at the end of the episode. So, Thomas, take it away with NFL.
Yeah, so on Thanksgiving, we had three games, Packers and the Lions. The Packers win 31-24. And, the Packers just pretty much outpaced the Lions over there in Detroit, which is, kind of crazy that the Packers went down there in hostile Detroit, Michigan, and got it done. Micah Parsons, 2.5 sacks, no stranger to playing on Thanksgiving as he was with the Dallas Cowboys previously. And Jordan Love had 4 touchdowns. And the Packers are now second in the tight NFC North race. And the Lions moved down to third, and they are 7-5. And the second game of the tripleheader on Thanksgiving, the Cowboys and the Chiefs played in AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys win it 31-28. The battle of toxic fan bases on Thanksgiving. Doesn't get much better than that. Probably before you guys were eating dinner, this game was on. So
Yeah, but I would rather the Cowboys win than the Chiefs.
Yeah, so would I. Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb Chops had a touchdown. And then, Pickens and Lamb is making Dak Prescott look pretty elite so far. Cowboys are now second in the NFC East, only behind Philadelphia, who did lose on Black Friday to the Bears, but they stay in second. But, this is like the first year in a while that the Chiefs could potentially miss the playoffs.
I hope they do.
And a lot of us are pretty happy. And then, the last game of the tripleheader on Thanksgiving, the Bengals went down to Baltimore, Maryland, and ultimately shocked the Ravens. They upset them. Joe Burrow's back. But being without T. Higgins, we still thought that the Ravens were going to come out and win this game. And it looked so early. Derrick Henry scored first for the Ravens, but Lamar Jackson had 3 crucial turnovers. One, he just forgot to throw the ball and just fell out of his hands. But the Bengals defense that's been getting scrutinized all year stepped up, and they're third in the AFC North. The Ravens were second in the AFC North, and the Steelers moved up, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And then Sunday, you want to talk about the Rams and Panthers?
No, we lost. Panthers win 31-28. Puka Nacua, controversial catch of the year. I thought it was a great catch, but my boyfriend Matthew would say otherwise. He thinks Brock Bowers had the greatest catch, but we'll also get into that, I believe. It was just an upset. I think they came in too confident, and they just expected to win the game. But it might bring the Rams back down to earth a little bit, give Stafford something to work towards, give the team something to work towards, know that don't get too cocky, So, we lost, but there's still games.
Right, exactly. Matthew Stafford had an off game, 2 interceptions, 1 pick six, and that pick six is ultimately the difference in that game because the Panthers would only win by 3 points, but, it's the NFL. Any team can beat any team. That's what makes it so special about this league. They're all professionals. They know what they're doing. And, no team is safe. And, the Bills and the Steelers. The Bills won 26-7. They were in it in the first half. They were winning 7-3 at half, but a fumble picked up by Christian Benford of the Buffalo Bills on the first play of the second half really shifted momentum for the entire game, and the Bills didn't look back. Confidence at an all-time high. And, the most rushing yards allowed in Heinz Field / AccuSure Stadium. I think it was 268 yards.
Yeah, didn't Josh Allen like break a record or something?
41, I believe 40. It was something with the rushing touchdowns, but he is first now. He passed Cam Newton.
Yep.
So congrats to Mr. Allen.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen breaks rushing touchdown record.
He's still my guy, but just not against my team. But I might.
How'd your fantasy do?
Pretty good. He only had 17 points, but when that run game is working so good with James Cook, Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis, they got it done in Pittsburgh. But a game that is also disappointing, I guess, for us Las Vegans.
Well, that's pretty much every week is disappointing. Yeah,
Raiders at the Chargers. The Chargers win 31-14. They are second in the AFC West now at 8-4, only behind the Denver Broncos, who are basically looking unstoppable right now. The Raiders are now 2-10. Yeah.
Yeah.
They still can't block. Geno Smith got sacked 5 times.
And he fell on his own, straight on his butt.
Yeah, it's just not a good group collectively at all. A lot of people are crucifying Pete Carroll's son, Brandon Carroll of the offensive line, and the only reason that Pete Carroll's not gonna fire this dude that is the offensive line coach is because it's his son. So he's getting some backlash for that. But on the bright side, Brock Bowers 2 touchdowns. We already know what he's about. One of the best tight ends in the league, and that's pretty much it. That's their 2 scores. So
yeah, they were talking about it on the broadcast. Just Brock Bowers does go kind of unrecognized, I guess, just because he is on the Raiders. But he had a good game, so they should thank Bowers for the only 2 scores of their game done by him alone.
If they're not gonna thank him, thank you, Brock Bowers. Saving lives, saving fantasy lives, and still getting it done, even though it's not looking good right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it does look good in the near future. Say in the future. Hopefully, the near future.
Yeah, very near future. Like next week, please.
Yeah. Another game in the 1 p.m. slot was the Vikings and the Seahawks. I didn't feel like we needed to talk about that just because the Seahawks won 26-0. Rookie quarterback Max Brosmer for the Minnesota Vikings. He's just uncharacteristically being put in a hostile environment playing the Seattle Seahawks and the 12th man over there up in Seattle. And, it was not good. A bad pick 6 and 2 more interceptions on top of that. So, yeah. But Sunday Night Football, this was maybe arguably the best game of Sunday. The Broncos won 27-26. OT thriller over there in Washington. Both fan bases, there was people from both fan bases there, a little mix. But both teams went stride for stride, both over 400 yards. Bo Nix and Marcus Mariota, Oregon alum, Heisman winner, spreading the wealth. And then we have another catch of the year candidate, Treylon Burks.
Yep. As
we have not heard Treylon Burks' name in a long while, but he got an amazing catch in the back of the end zone for the score. And in overtime, the Broncos scored first, but the Commanders would go right down the field and find scary Terry McLaurin, which I believe it is his first game back, but then decided to go for 2 and the win, being that they were 3-8, trying to upset a good team in the Denver Broncos. But that did not go their way as the ball got swatted down at the line. Broncos now 10-2, best in the NFL.
Yep. I don't know. I feel like of the best catches of the weekend, I feel like that was third out of the 3,
And which one was first?
I don't think Puka's was first.
Okay.
I think Brock Bowers was first.
Yeah, I'd argue that Brock Bowers was probably first too.
Yeah. What, were you expecting me to say Puka? I did get my jersey, guys. I got my jersey. But I have to be honest. I do think Brock Bowers had the best catch.
Yeah, and this is a tight end that's doing this.
Yeah.
He's primarily supposed to be in there to block, but...
that's something you'd expect Puka to do, I think.
Right.
Chubby Nakua.
Okay.
That's what his name. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, Puka means chubby. That's not his real name. Anyway.
So Monday Night Football, we're gonna hit you with the predictions. Giants at the Patriots. 3, 2, 1. Patriots. Yeah, I don't know. Giants did it before, beat Philadelphia earlier this season in Philadelphia on Thursday Night Football, but I don't know. Drake May and the Patriots are rolling right now, looking to tie with the Broncos for the best record in the NFL. So, yeah.
Yeah. But now that the professional football is done, let's move it on over to our UNLV football because they had a great weekend beating the Wolfpack.
Of course.
Did you see? Wait, hold on. Sorry. Did you see their TikToks that they were making?
Mm-mm.
There was one where they were like, "Yeah, if you're a UNLV fan, like, there's still time to change before the game or whatever." And then everyone, like, all the UNLV fans in the comments were like on their butts, and it was funny.
Brother, I can tell you, we were not worried going up there.
No, not at all.
To Reno. Maybe some of us were. Never had a doubt. Dog.
Yeah.
Final score, 42-17. Holy moly!
They got lucky at the end. Like it should have been 42 to what was it?
3, basically. It's 28-3 at halftime, but yeah, must win game.
Let them get something.
Yeah, I had to get some things for fans to cheer about a little bit, but this was a must-win game for UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the Mountain West Championship hopes alive, and they delivered.
Yep. The Fremont Cannon stays red, and UNLV ended in a 4-way tie for first place in the Mountain West. But we'll get into that controversy in a little bit. Going into the stats of the game, the UNLV Rebels reached a 10-win mark for the 4th time in history and in back-to-back seasons for the first time ever. Jaden Thomas rushed for 2 first-half touchdowns with 87 yards on 6 carries before the half and 2 more scores in the second. Anthony Calandria became the 4th Rebel to reach the 3,000-yard mark passing in season, finishing the UNR game with 270 yards. I don't care if you guys don't like being called UNR. Sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Anthony Calandria had a couple uncharacteristic interceptions, but I just bet he was looking to throw the ball down the field because UNR sucks.
Yeah, but he was also the only player in the nation to throw a touchdown and rush for at least 15 net yards in every game this season. And this touchdown, his last touchdown, gave him a conference-leading 22 in the year and added his 8th rushing touchdown of the season.
Bang. QB1.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's staying?
I'd hope so.
I hope so
he
too.
talks highly about Dan Mullen. In a couple post-game press conferences, he speaks very highly of Dan Mullen and excited to be in his offense. But
that goes to if Dan Mullen also stays.
Well, right.
Which I'd hope. I mean, even Odom gave it 2 seasons.
Right, but there's been a lot of college football controversy lately. Lane Kiffin at LSU and many other coaches are bouncing from ship to ship.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
I mean, even UCLA still has their interim coach.
Right.
Which they lost to USC this weekend. Sorry. He was like on the sideline like, yeah, like I don't even care. I'm just interim coach. He was laughing at the loss. Sorry. Nico Yamaleava.
Yeah, former 5-star. He's not.
Former 5-star.
Yeah.
How did he even get. Whatever.
Good in high school, but.
In high school, yeah, but we're in college now. Like.
Former 5-star. That's why. So, but. Yeah, with this win, UNLV is 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
Tied for first in the Mountain West. And they will play Boise State in the Mountain West Championship.
At Boise. Because why not?
Boise.
Like.
Again. This is the 3rd year in a row, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how they always get the home game.
Yeah. If UNLV beat them earlier this season, we would have been going to Allegiant Stadium this Friday, but...
Well, here's the thing, too. They almost lost to Utah State. They only won by 1, right? It was 25-24.
Mm-hmm.
And they fell off later in the season, even before that game. And we fell off in the middle and then picked it back up. So I'm hoping that we don't I'm hoping that we win. But if we do lose, I hope it's not as bad as it was when we played them the first time.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it will be. Last year was a very different story. You had NFL talent on the field in Ashton Genty, Heisman frontrunner. They don't have that now. But obviously in the first game, that did not matter as they still ran for 295 yards, I believe.
Yeah, something
But,
like that.
the past couple of weeks, UNLV has held Hawaii to 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It was 10.
Then
Was it 10 and 10?
Well, UNR is 17.
No. Before Hawaii. Who did we play before Hawaii?
Was it Wyoming?
No, that was way before.
Oh, oops.
That was like...
No, Utah
First half.
State.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, and who was before Utah? I know there was another low-scoring UNLV football. Let's check. Oh, Colorado State was 10. So it was Colorado State with 10, Utah State 26, Hawaii 10, Nevada 17.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, makes it seem like our defense is doing a lot better than
They're improving with every
New Mexico.
Every game, every practice, improving down the stretch of the season, and that's when you need it. So,
and I mean, if the defense is primarily the reason that we lost against Boise, because
offense scored 31 points.
56.
Yeah, and Boise scored 56, 28 in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's really coming down to defense, I think our defense has cleaned it up enough and picked up enough to the point where it shouldn't be that much of a blowout or even that high scoring for them. I don't think. That doesn't mean a lot. But I'm hoping. I have hope this game.
We have hope that UNLV gets a historic season. First season under Dan Mullen, can win the Mountain West Championship. That would make a lot of headlines and put UNLV on the map. And, with a win, they could potentially, not guaranteed, to have a spot in the college football playoff. But that is a long ways away.
Yeah, we got to get through this game first.
But, going back a little bit, many people felt that SDSU, who was first in the Mountain West but would lose to New Mexico State, should have been in. How do you feel about it?
I was shocked the SDSU was even in first for as long as it was.
So was I, because they were terrible last year.
Yeah, horrible. And it came down to computer, right?
I believe 4 separate computers determined that this matchup would be.
I honestly kind of counted out SDSU. As soon as they lost, I counted them out. I think the real controversy was for New Mexico because they beat us at home. Obviously, I'm happy that UNLV is in, but I was a little confused the way that the selection went.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at it as, UNLV had a better record overall, 10-2. So technically that would be first in the Mountain West, not considering conference record.
Okay. Well, then even with that, then why aren't we at home?
Well, right, exact. That's another thing. I was a little confused that it would be up in Boise, and Boise is...
Because the whole talk was if we made it to the championship, we were going to be at home.
Right.
And once again, we're in potato land. Like, I don't...
Yeah, it's true, though.
The fact that we are in the championship, we should be at home with a 10-2 overall.
10-2 overall record.
Because what is Boise, 8-4?
I believe so, something like that.
Yeah, I guess opponent difficulty comes into play as well, but even then, if we're looking just at the numbers of records, we should be at home.
I most certainly agree. I most certainly agree because I would want to go to a Mountain West Championship game in my hometown.
Yeah, I'm not going to Boise for that.
Yeah, no thanks. But, hopefully UNLV wins. If not, they will play another bowl game.
Hopefully the LA Bowl.
But, we're hoping for a championship.
Yeah. First things first, championship.
And now moving on to UNLV basketball.
Starting with our men's.
Yeah, starting with the men's. They had a tough stretch during this Thanksgiving week in the Players Era tournament. Played high-quality opponents, high-quality coaches that have a history of winning. over there in like the Southeastern Conference, and
Playing Bama was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But yeah, the first game on Monday, November 24th, UNLV Runnin Rebels lost to the Maryland Terrapins 74-67 in a game that UNLV was up at halftime.
Yeah.
It just looks like with these 3 games, it just looks like they're gassed out a little bit. They have a 7-man rotation. Usually you have an 8-man rotation, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to win games with that kind of rotation. Usually you have 8 or 9 guys up there, but with the injuries to Miles Che, Emmanuel Steffen, hopefully they can come back soon before Mountain West play starts. Yeah, I mean, we need them.
I mean, Hassner gets into it later on. He says that it is rough having a smaller amount of men able to play. In the Bama game, Tyron Jones usually is in a 3-4 spot, but he had to play in the 5 spot, and especially against an SEC team, like, that's what makes that so rough. But just because they fell to Maryland doesn't mean they didn't have some great performances. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn had 17 points. Kimani Hamilton had 11 before fouling out again. Tyron Jones had his first career start over an injured Jacob Benarbi, but he had 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Freshman. And going into our other freshmen, Isaac Williamson had 9 blocks and 5 assists. Al Green had 9 points, and Howie Fleming Jr., 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. So I think the theme of this players era is we have a good team. There's no doubt about that. The fact that we even came that close with Maryland and Rutgers, when going into the season, I don't think many people even expected the Running Rebels to do that well, and they performed as well as they did in the players era. It's just coming down to there's, 5 injured players right now?
Yeah,
Jacob Benarbi,
like
Miles Che, Lodji, Dembele, Emmanuel Steffen, they're all still injured. That's 4 players still out. They had to basically make do with what they could, and they did their best. They just, without that many players, yeah, you said it best, they got gassed out.
But yeah, that second game, going off what you said, they would lose to Alabama 115-76. I mean, Alabama is, they made the Elite 8 last year.
They're number 8 right now.
Right. They're 8th ranked team right now, made the Elite 8 last year. They're just a good athletic school all around, top ranked basketball and football school. I mean, shout out to Crimson Tide. They're playing Georgia in the SEC championship this week. But yeah, basketball side, they're getting it done too. With that loss, UNLV was 3-4, and then on Thanksgiving they played Rutgers and lost 80-65. Another Rutgers team that did have, I believe NBA talent last year in Dylan Harper, maybe. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, they were highly regarded last year, but yeah, would lose 80-65, and now the Runnin Rebels are 3-5. Yeah, their next game is in Stanford, California, December 7th. So we got a little bit of ways to go before then.
I mean, that gives them 27th?
December 7th.
Oh, I thought you said 27th.
No.
I was like, that's
Do you imagine?
That's like almost a month away. But moving into our Lady Rebels, who oppositely had a great week in their turkey tip-off. They defeated Creighton 76-67. Oh. Sorry. And Meadow Roland. Will we ever get tired of saying her name?
25 points and the win.
And
Holy
the
moly.
fourth double-double of the season.
And she almost shot 50%. Or
Yeah.
they almost shot 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Tegan Colvin had a career high of 11 points and a career high and team high of 5 assists. And Destiny Leo, or as her Twitter says, Destiny 3-0, made her 2,000th career point.
Yeah.
I
2,000
just smacked
points.
the mic again. Sorry, guys. But Leo, Jasmine Law, and Aaliyah Alexander all had 9 points. So our ladies performing as usual. And then going on to, was it Friday?
Yes, Friday. Still in the Thomas and Mack. Both games being in the Thomas and Mack.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I like that for our girls. I feel like they should get more opportunities to play in the Thomas and Mack, but I digress. They defeated Northern Iowa 62-56. Meadow Roland, again, because why not? Had 17 points. Jasmine Lott with 12 points, Aaliyah Alexander with 11, and then Shelby Brown with 10 rebounds, 3 of which were offensive, and 7 were defensive. And then Erica Collins made her first start as the Lady Rebel, and she had 2 steals. And out of their 12 free throws, they made 11. Another good game for our Lady Rebels.
I know, and not a necessarily great shooting night at 34%, but, they forced, Northern Iowa to 17 turnovers and got the win, yeah.
Yeah. But this episode means a lot to me because we're going to be getting into our Lady Rebels even more in depth because they're a great team, and I don't think that they get as much media attention as they deserve. So we're just going to get into some background before we get into our special guest. But their program started in 1974, and the Lady Rebels have an all-time record of 935 wins to 572 losses. And like most of our UNLV Rebels basketball history, the legacy kind of started with Jerry Tarkarian. He had an assistant named Dan Ayala, and he took over the program from Barbara Quinn. She was the first-year interim coach, and she laid the groundwork for the future of women's basketball in Las Vegas. She then gave the team over to Dan Ayala, who wanted to build a stronger women's program and attract some top players. But to get started with that, he started the first ever full athletic scholarships for women at UNLV to attract these top players because who's going to want to come to a new program without some money?
Yeah, in Las Vegas before Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas before it became, yeah.
Yeah.
So he started that, and in their first season under the Ayala era, they went 26-5 and were undefeated at home. And then in the 1977 to 1978 season, the team went 23-2. So then Ayala left in 1981, and the legacy continues, of course, through, I believe, 6 other coaches. And let's way fast forward into the future, and there's a player at Stanford. And this woman had started in 43 of 138 games during her career, and she appeared in all 4 years at the NCAA Women's Final Four. She was a starting point guard for Stanford when they beat UConn and ended their 90-game winning streak on December 30th, 2010. She was a 4-time Nevada All-State, 4-time Sunset Southwest Conference MVP, and a National Hoops Classic Tournament MVP. And this is a name that if you know women's basketball, women's college basketball, this is a name you should know, and a name that you should love. And this is our current Lady Rebels head coach, Lindy La Rocque. Lindy La Rocque started in 2021, and she became the second youngest coach in Division I women's basketball with 15 wins in the 2020 to 2021 season, 15-9 overall, and ranked second for wins amongst first-year Division I head coaches as her first year as a head coach. And she became UNLV's first Mountain West Coach of the Year after leading Division I women's basketball, the 6th youngest squad, to a second-place finish in the conference, despite being picked 9th in the preseason poll. And from then, it just got even crazier because the team has not let up since. The team also has been academically strong with a 4.34 cumulative GPA, and half the team placing on the Dean's List. So not only are these girls athletically strong, but they're academically strong, which I feel like you don't see a whole lot in college sports. So going into the 2021 to 2022 season, UNLV reached the NCAA tournament for the first time in 20 seasons after sweeping the Mountain West regular season and tournament championships, a first for the program, and its 26 wins were the most in more than 3 decades. Going into the 2022 to 2023 season, UNLV set another program record with 31 wins and swept the Mountain West and tournament championships for a second straight season. The team had a .912 winning percentage and was third in all D1 teams. The team also was undefeated at home for the first time since 1979, with a program record of a 22-game winning streak. Every year that I keep reading is just going to get better and better because Lindy La Rocque knows no bounds. She just keeps breaking records. Because in 2023, Lindy La Rocque became the first head coach in Lady Rebels history to win the 100-win mark in just 4 seasons. Second consecutive season with 30 wins for the first time in program history, they became the first team in the Mountain West history to win both the regular season and tournament championship in 3 straight seasons. They were also ranked number 20 and 19 8 times in the AP and US Today Coaches Poll, receiving points for the first time in 19 years. And of course, they won Mountain West Best of the Year awards for the 3rd time. And then this past year, in the 2024 to 2025 season, the Lady Rebels secured a 4th straight regular season Mountain West title, which marked only the 2nd time in conference history and the 1st time in UNLV history. There's so many of these records, oh my gosh. UNLV collected its first postseason win with 63-46 victory over Hawaii in the first round of the WBIT. Lindy La Rocque was named Mountain West Coach of the Year for the 3rd time in just 5 seasons, which marked the first time in conference and UNLV history. And then Meadow Roll in that season was also named Mountain West Freshman and 6th Player of the Year, which marked the 2nd straight season a Lady Rebel was named both. So, all of these stats, and I still don't think that our girls get enough attention. I mean, we just talked about it like 5 minutes ago. They don't play in the Thomas and Mack. And typically they don't play on the same days as the men. So why shouldn't they get to play in the same arena? What do you think?
I do believe that they should be able to. You could argue that they do bring in more attention than the men do right now. Just because, Coach Lindy got her extension. But even before that, before the extension, she's in it for the players. Obviously homegrown from here, then went to college, but came back here to coach. Just that culture really represents with the players and has them rolling in her. Her coaching style is very noticeable, maybe sometimes controversial at times, but, everybody loves a little passion, and I love the passion, and you put programs on the map with that. And, yeah, they should be playing in Thomas and Mack.
Not only that, they should just get more media attention in general because arguably, I think they are one of, if not the best teams at UNLV. You could say, okay, yeah, the UNLV football team has been obviously getting their records broken as well, especially this season, but Lindy's been doing this for 5 years. Her contract just got extended another 5 years. This program is just going to keep getting better, especially under the La Rocque era, and right. I think we should hear it from Lindy herself.
Yeah.
So we'll be back. We'll be in a different little setup, but let's hear from Lady Rebels head coach Lindy La Rocque.
Welcome back, Rebel Roundtable fans. We are back and we are now joined with UNLV Lady Rebels head coach Lindy La Rocque. As previously discussed, Coach La Rocque has built one of, if not the most successful athletic programs on campus. And today we are going to dive into the excellence of this team and everything they have had to overcome to get to this point. Coach, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so just to start some things off, for those who may not know, how would you describe the culture of UNLV women's basketball today?
I think we've built this program just around kind of competitive excellence, honestly. And I have a saying of how you do anything is how you do everything. And I think that's what, I want the culture of our program to be, on the court, off the court, in the classroom. Just being very intentional and purposeful with everything that we're doing and holding ourselves to a very high standard.
Yeah, and I believe that it's so important to have a woman be the head coach of a women's team because as women, you understand the issues and the pressures of being an athlete. What do you think are the biggest differences between how male and female athletes go into a game, handling the pressures, the leadership, and building that chemistry with each other?
Well, big question. I think, young men and women obviously just are vastly different, and I think everything from DNA to just practice and anatomy and I mean you could have probably a whole podcast on all of that, but
Hmm.
from a basketball perspective, I think the women's game is different than the men's game. And it's still, we're excited about the exposure that it's had, really at the highest level lately, but it hasn't been that way for a long time. There's a lot of different rules in place for men to play professionally sooner than what women are allowed to do, which I think a lot of those things again are being challenged. But I think holistically, there's different motivators, different challenges for men and women in college athletics, and I just think that's a fact. I think some of them are positive, some of them are negative, just however things are perceived. But yeah, I think whether it's pressures or competitive pressures, I think ultimately um, young people want to compete and want to win, and those are some of the things that, regardless of gender, when you're a competitor, that should be important to you.
Yeah. And as we mentioned before coming into this interview, the Lady Rebels have some of the most impressive stats of the recent years. And yes, of course, was known for the Runnin Rebels before this, and our football team has also become quite impressive in the recent years. But I feel that our Lady Rebels have become, as previously mentioned, one of, if not the most successful programs here at UNLV. And I feel that throughout this success, the media attention that they receive is a little bit skewed in versus the men. How have you dealt with this? And if you have even noticed this discrepancies between the men and women's?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, like we're never necessarily trying to compete with our own university programs.
Mhm.
There's no bigger fan of football and men's basketball and all of our athletic teams than me. But I do think, when it comes to media coverage and different things, I have to fight and scratch and claw for everything, for our team, and sometimes that's hard because I feel like we're very deserving, and
Mhm.
I know the reality of it is that more people follow football, more people follow men's basketball. So from a media coverage, like they have a diligence to cover those probably more, but I think the proportionate value like should also be there. I
Mhm.
mean, I would argue that we don't get covered at all,
Yeah.
from a media print. This whole year, the Las Vegas Review Journal has written one article on us, and
Mhm.
um, that's just a fact. That's not me, being a woman and being mad,
Mhm.
but that's just a fact, So I think there's different media outlets that are trying to do and really support. I think we get pretty great coverage from our local news channels, people like yourself, uh, student media, but I think it's just something that we have to constantly fight.
Yeah. And we've spoken about media coverage in general. That's coming just from news sources. But going back to the Baylor game, you knew that going into it, it was going to be a rough game, but having such an energetic crowd, I feel really helped the team. And I'm sure you want to keep that energy rolling into the next upcoming games and the rest of the season. How important is it to have a consistent fan base that will continue to show up to these games and build that atmosphere? And what can students and fans do to better support the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think our Baylor crowd was phenomenal. Obviously, it was a top 10 opponent. And, it was a great crowd. I do think it really fueled our team. It fueled a lot of emotion and passion kind of in the facility. And I think that's what our team deserves, whether it's a top 10 opponent or just a regular conference opponent. So I think, those are the challenges that we have ahead. Of course, we'd love student support. I think that's some of the lowest hanging fruit is to continue to get all of our students to invest in their university, to have
Mhm.
pride for their teams and come and show up and know that they matter. I think we have a perfect facility for women's basketball. It's not too big, and so when each person that fills it really can make a difference.
Mhm.
And, and so I think that intimate feel, can help continue to drive more fans. But yeah, sure, we're greedy. I want more fans every game.
Mhm.
And we have a contingent of supporters that have supported us for a long time. And we've got some new supporters that are hopping on board. So we've got to continue to fight for the marketing and the advertising to put our message out there that, our games are being played and we want people to come check it out.
Yeah, and I mean, we are in a city where we have the Las Vegas Aces in the city as well. And have you noticed that once the Aces started doing better, once the women's basketball here, of course, started doing better, have you noticed a overlap in increase of fans at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously we've got women's basketball fans here in Las
Mhm.
Vegas, and the Aces help amplify that, a world championship team. And their gym is full a lot. I mean, they're
Mhm.
averaging 6, 7,000. Now our challenge is that, they're out of the regular basketball season and during the summer, so
Mhm.
once we get into the school year, high school basketball, every development level of basketball is at the
Mhm.
same time. School is in session. So, there's different challenges on how to get fans to our games. I think maybe that the Aces don't battle quite as much, but, I think it just shows that we have women's basketball fans here. We don't have to go convert or try to find new ones. That they are
Yeah.
here. We got to get them to the gym.
Hmm. And fans aside, you in the recent years have also had a lot of work putting in work to getting new players. I mean, we've had Metal Roland, of course, Jasmine Lott being such excellent returning players, but this season especially, there's been an increase of transfer players as well. How are you able to foster that community and building that culture between each other and just getting that season started with some new players?
Yeah, that's different for us. A lot of newcomers on this team. We haven't necessarily had that in years past, but that's kind of what the landscape and, what this year needed to be,
Mhm.
frankly, so that we could field a team. We needed players, so we had to go find some and get some, and then for them, my goal is obviously to get them to buy into Las Vegas as a community. We spend time on the court after every game so that our players can meet the fans and
Mhm.
our fans can meet our players and really get to know them, because I do think that is special in women's basketball is the investment and the storytelling piece of it. So, and then it helps our team, kind of really buy into the culture that we're setting. So, I'm proud of the work that we've done there.
Mhm. And I feel like when I first went to a Lady Rebels game versus, of course, the Runnin Rebels, there is more of an intimacy I feel watching the women because we're not in the Thomas and Mack. We're in a smaller arena and just building that relationship with the fans, like you said, the post game autographs and meeting the fans and everything. How do you think that has helped build that connection between fans and players?
Yeah, I mean, we love the Thomas and Mack. It's, one of the greatest venues, honestly, of all time. I think it's pretty big for women's basketball, and even just the lower bowl is pretty big. So I'm happy that we play in the pavilion. It is a smaller, intimate venue for us that, you can feel closer. You can feel that you have an impact. When you scream, it's heard. If you really want to get onto the refs, they will hear you.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I think that's helped our investment. I think it just creates a little bit different game environment to where, it's just enjoyable, and I think I tell people when you come to a game, it's hard not to come back
Mhm.
because win or lose, I feel like we do provide a good experience and it's exciting to want to come back. And especially when we win, it's like, well, that was fun. Let's find another time to come back.
Yeah. And on the topic of winning, what are your goals for the rest of the season? I mean, the past, as I was doing research going into this episode, it was like every year there was a new record, a new just headline for the team. So what are you guys as a team working forward to this next season or the rest of the season?
Yeah. I think this year we just have such a different team, more so than we've ever had in the past. There's been more unknown on this team with new players and new personalities than we've ever had to kind of
Mhm.
adjust with. So I think ultimately, our goals for sure are to win a championship, but really we want to continue. We don't win a championship today, and we don't win it next month even. And how we get there is that we have to continue to improve. I felt like we had a great practice today. And that was a step forward. And if we can continue to take those steps forward, to continue to improve and get better as a group, then come February, March, we will be where we want to be, which is in, championship contention to play in the postseason as well.
Yeah. And we've spoken of the leadership, we've spoken of the difficulties behind being a women's team, but there's one aspect that I really want to touch on because it's just so different from women's sports versus men's sports. And I feel like that's the expectation of parenting. As a coach and as a former player, you have had your own special experience with having a child. If you're comfortable, can you please share that story?
Sure. I mean, I think parenting is hard, no
Mhm.
matter if you're a mom, a dad, a co-parent, a step parent, whatever that may be. I think for working moms and dads, it can also feel a little bit different and different challenging. Since I've been a head coach, I've gotten married and had kids, and so I was pregnant on the sideline where that hasn't ever been the case for a man.
Mhm.
They might have a pregnant wife at home or in the stands, and don't mean to discredit the weight that that carries, but I think going through my pregnancy with our both of my pregnancies with our teams, and sharing that with them was as much exhausting and fun and exciting and educational for them and for me. And then being able to, for my first child, have my water break on the sideline. That was
Mhm.
a new experience for our training staff, for everyone, and just something, that I think is special in motherhood and working moms, that, is unique to our positions and our families, and with our children.
Yeah. And do you think, well, you already kind of answered this about motherhood being treated a little bit differently than fatherhood, just because there's different roles, of course. What would you like to see in the sports world to better support women in these roles?
Um, I think sports is challenging in a lot of ways, and it's up to individual people to make their life choices of what they want, and for me, I try to be the very best mother that I can, but also be the very best coach to my team that I can. And a lot of people talk about work-life balance and all of these different things, but I think it's more about your kind of what you prioritize and being present where you are. For me, I don't kind of live two separate lives. I'm not a mother just at home. I'm also a mother on the court, but then
Mhm.
I'm also a coach at home too. And I have to do work at home and some of those things. And so I think it's, having some good boundaries, being able to prioritize, time. But I don't know if there's ever balance, right? I think it's
Mhm.
seasonal. And I have a great spouse and a husband that supports me fully. So, I think more so than what the industry can do for me, it's continuing to make the right choices for myself and get self-care and the help that I need to where that I feel like I can do both things to the best of my ability.
Yeah. And again, before we had this interview, I discussed your accomplishments in leading, and leading is such an amazing program. What does it mean to you personally to lead this, not just this group, but your previous groups of young women with this team? And what message would you like to send to other young girls listening to this podcast? And what do you want them to take away from your journey?
Yeah, I think the reason why I coach is I first view myself as an educator and I
Mhm.
just like teaching and helping other people. And so if I wasn't coaching basketball, I'd probably be a teacher in a high school or in middle school or elementary school. That's kind of my family background. So why I do this is to impact young people in particular. I was fortunate to have great female role models to look up to and to learn from. And so that's what I just hope to be for some of my players or for some of the other student athletes. It doesn't have to be the same sport, but just to see women doing cool things and having kids and starting a family. I think so much of, obviously when you're little, you want to aspire to be the college athlete, but then once you're the college athlete, you have to continue to find some inspiration of what do you want to do after college. And so hopefully I can be that role model or just an example for my players or other student athletes out there that, you can be a mom, you can be a coach, you can be a champion, you can do all of the things that you hope to do if that's what you want. And so, and you can live a great life doing that, and work really hard. But that's what I think I hope I impart on my players and, other people honestly out there.
And before we end this interview, I just want, looking forward down the line, when people look back on your time at UNLV, what do you hope they say about the program that you've built?
Um, I just I hope people come on the ride with us, and I feel like we've taken the program to new heights and done some incredible things. And so of course, like, I'd love for people to kind of recognize that, but more than anything, it's fun to share it with people. And so I rather not have them, talk about when they did that, but be there to experience it with us, and so that's trying to leave places better than what you found it. I hope that, we've done that here.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Lindy. I really enjoyed being able to speak with you and being able to just share the message of the Lady Rebels team. For our listeners, if you haven't already, please make sure to go check out a Lady Rebels game. They are so much fun, and I really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you
Th-
covering us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lindy. We had an amazing time interviewing you, and I wish the Lady Rebels luck for the rest of their season. We will continue to get going to these games, but that is all that we have for this week. I have been your host, Maile Palacios, and this is my host, Thomas Gobbo Gobbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is December 1st. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and yeah, we're not going away. We have one more episode before the semester ends, but in the words of Trevor Lewis, go Rebels.